Welcome to our journey through the mysterious and captivating history of mediumship and spirit communication. From ancient rituals to modern-day mediums, let's explore how humans have tried to communicate with the spirit world throughout the ages. We will also explore how mediumship has evolved in terms of scientific investigations and what current research says about its validity. Our story begins in the Caverne des Trois Frères in France, dating back to 13,000 BC. Discovered in 1914, the cave is renowned for its remarkable Paleolithic art. It contains a drawing of a sorcerer wearing animal skins, an owl mask, and antlers. The sorcerer is thought to be playing the role of the god of hunting, leading a ritual to bring success to the hunt. The shaman was thought to channel the spirit of the hunting god, guiding early humans in their quests. Fast forward to ancient Egypt, where mediumship was a complex and integral part of the religious and spiritual fabric of society. Priests and priestesses served as vital intermediaries between the gods and the people. They conducted rituals and ceremonies to maintain harmony and order. Egyptians believed the dead could communicate with the living through their akh, or transfigured spirit. The akh was an aspect of a person's energy and personality that manifested after death. We now move onward to ancient Greece and Rome, where the sibyls and oracles played pivotal roles. The sibyls were women believed to possess prophetic powers and the ability to communicate with the gods. They were revered as oracles, delivering divine messages and prophecies to those who sought their counsel. The oracle at Delphi, known as Pythia, was among the most famous. She counseled leaders like Alexander the Great, claiming to speak with the authority of the god Apollo. The rituals and practices surrounding the sibyls and oracles, such as purification ceremonies, inhalation of vapors, and interpretation of cryptic utterances, were integral to the spiritual communication process. Moving on to the 1st through 4th centuries and early Christianity, which had a complex relationship with mediumship and divination. While some early Christians believed in the possibility of divine visions and prophecy, the Church generally condemned these practices. The Bible does reference mediumship in a negative light, consistently condemning the practice and warning against its spiritual dangers. For example, in the Old Testament, King Saul consults the witch of Endor to summon the spirit of the prophet Samuel, which is portrayed as a sin and leads to Saul's downfall. Continuing on to the Middle Ages of 500 AD to 1500 AD, mysticism and spiritual experiences were often associated with Christian saints and mystics. Figures like Hildegard of Bingen, Julian of Norwich, and Saint Teresa of Avila reported visions and communications with divine beings. These mystics were often revered for their spiritual insights and contributions to Christian theology. Their experiences were framed within the context of divine revelation rather than mediumship as understood today. The medieval period also saw the rise of necromancy, a form of magic involving communication with the dead. Necromancers were believed to summon spirits for divination and gaining hidden knowledge. The practice of necromancy was condemned by the Church and often associated with witchcraft. The fear of witchcraft and the persecution of alleged witches during the Inquisition of the late medieval and early modern periods further stigmatized practices related to mediumship. Moving onward to the Renaissance period of the late 14th century to the early 17th century, which saw a revival of interest in occultism, magic, and alchemy. Figures like Marsilio Ficino and Giovanni Pico della Mirandola explored the connections between magic, astrology, and spirituality, often drawing on ancient texts and traditions. John Dee, an English mathematician, astronomer, and occultist, is a notable figure from this period. Dee, along with his scryer Edward Kelly, claimed to communicate with angels and spirits through a practice known as angelic conversations, or Enochian magic. Advancing to the late 17th and the 18th centuries during the Enlightenment period brought a shift towards rationalism and skepticism, which challenged traditional beliefs in the supernatural. However, interest in spirit communication and mediumship persisted, often in the context of secret societies and esoteric traditions. In the 18th century, Swedish scientist Emanuel Swedenborg claimed to communicate with angels and spirits, sparking controversy and laying the groundwork for the modern religion of spiritualism. In 1744, at the age of 56, Swedenborg experienced a profound spiritual awakening. He reported having visions and communications with angels and spirits, which he believed were direct revelations from God. Swedenborg introduced the concept of correspondence, which posits that everything in the physical world has a spiritual counterpart. This idea suggests a deep interconnectedness between the material and spiritual realms. He emphasized the idea of the divine human, viewing Jesus Christ. as the embodiment of God in human form, bridging the gap between the divine and the human. Swedenborg's work influenced many prominent writers and thinkers, including William Blake, Ralph Waldo Emerson, and Henry James Sr. Proceeding forward to the mid-19th century, which saw the rise of the Spiritualist movement popularized by the Fox sisters in New York. Their seances and spirit communications captivated audiences and spread rapidly across the United States and Europe. The sisters claimed to have established communication with a spirit through a series of knocks and raps, which they interpreted as responses to their questions. In 1888, Maggie Fox publicly confessed that the rapping sounds were a hoax, created by cracking their toe joints and other physical tricks. She later recanted her confession, but the damage to their credibility was significant. Despite the controversies, the Fox sisters' impact on the spiritualist movement remains undeniable. The Fox sisters' activities influenced many notable figures of the time, including writers, intellectuals, and social reformers. Prominent individuals such as Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, the creator of Sherlock Holmes, became an ardent supporter of spiritualism. Also during the 19th century, Daniel Douglas Home remains one of the most enigmatic figures in the history of mediumship. The question of whether he was a fraud has been a subject of intense debate. Holmes' seances were attended by numerous credible witnesses, including scientists, nobility, and literary figures. Many of these witnesses provided accounts of phenomena such as levitation, moving objects, and the appearance of spirit hands. In 1869, the Pall Mall Gazette published an investigation into Holmes' seances, suggesting that natural causes or trickery could explain some phenomena. The question of whether Daniel Douglas Home was a fraud remains unresolved. His case highlights the challenges of investigating and validating paranormal phenomena, where subjective experiences and the limitations of scientific methods often leave room for doubt and speculation. The early 20th century was a pivotal period for mediumship, marked by significant scientific scrutiny and numerous exposures of fraud. The Society for Psychical Research, SPR, was founded in 1882 and was one of the first organizations to investigate paranormal phenomena, including mediumship. Their investigations often revealed fraudulent practices among mediums, which contributed to a decline in the credibility of physical mediumship. Notable figures in the SPR, such as Sir Oliver Lodge and Frederick Myers, conducted rigorous studies to understand and validate mediumistic phenomena. Despite their efforts, many mediums were exposed, which cast a shadow over the entire field. Eusapia Palladino was one of the most famous mediums of the late 19th and early 20th centuries. She was subjected to numerous investigations by the SPR and was caught red-handed in blatant acts of fraud. The famous magician and skeptic Harry Houdini was a vocal critic of Palladino. He exposed many of her tricks, such as using hidden wires and accomplices to create the illusion of a supernatural event. Eva Carriere was also exposed as a fraud through multiple investigations and revelations highlighting her deceptive practices. Known for her dramatic seances involving ectoplasm, Carriere was exposed for fraud. She would create fake ectoplasm from chewed paper and other materials. Investigations revealed photographs showing the artificial nature of her materializations. Eventually, seances and demonstrations largely disappeared from public awareness around the 1920s due to ongoing allegations of fraud and deception. Most researchers agree that conclusive scientific proof of physical mediumship remains elusive. However, the evidence is stronger for mental mediumship involving spirit communication. In the last 5 decades, mental mediumship has replaced physical mediumship as the primary type of mediumship demonstrated. The 1970s saw a resurgence of interest in mediumship as part of the New Age movement. New Age spirituality emphasized concepts such as holistic health, consciousness expansion, and the interconnectedness of all life. Mediumship, as a means of communicating with the spirit world, fit well within this framework and attracted many adherents. In the 1970s, S. Lamar Keene was a prominent medium who later became a whistleblower, exposing the fraudulent practices within the spiritualist community. In 1976, Keene co-authored The Psychic Mafia with Alan Spraggett, a Canadian writer on paranormal topics. The book is a candid exposé of the fraudulent techniques used by mediums to deceive their clients. He revealed how mediums would gather information about clients beforehand, often through shared client files or by eavesdropping on conversations. This information was then used to perform hot readings, where the medium appeared to know personal details about the client through supernatural means. Despite his confessions, Keene maintained a belief in the possibility of genuine mediumistic ability, though he was clear about the widespread fraud in the industry. The 1970s also witnessed a surge in parapsychological research, with institutions like the Stanford Research Institute, SRI. They conducted studies on psychic phenomena, including remote viewing and mediumship. Researchers sought to investigate and validate the claims of mediums and psychics, although the results were often mixed. Despite skepticism from the scientific community, these studies helped maintain public interest in mediumship. Although the New Age movement began to wane by the late 1980s, the practices and beliefs it popularized, including mediumship, continued to influence spiritual seekers. The 1980s were marked by a renewed interest in the paranormal and psychic phenomena, partly fueled by popular culture. Movies, television shows, and books about ghosts, psychics, and the supernatural captivated the public imagination. Emerging in the late 1980s and into the 1990s, James Van Praagh became one of the most well-known mediums in the United States. His work on television and his books brought mediumship into mainstream awareness. The 1990s saw the rise of television psychics and mediums who brought their practices to a broader audience. Shows like Crossing Over with John Edward became popular, showcasing mediumship as a form of entertainment and spirit connection. Another prominent figure during this time, Sylvia Browne, appeared regularly on television and radio, offering psychic and mediumship readings. Despite facing criticism and accusations of fraud, she maintained a significant following until she died in 2013. In the 2000s, Teresa Caputo and her show, The Long Island Medium, gained fame, which began airing in 2011. Her show brought mediumship into the homes of millions, blending entertainment and mediumship. From 2010 onward, the rise of social media and digital communication has transformed the practice of mediumship. Mediums now use platforms like YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok to share their messages and connect with audiences worldwide. Tyler Henry, known as the Hollywood Medium, gained popularity through his television show and social media presence. His youthful approach and media savvy have introduced mediumship to a new generation. Today, mediumship remains a controversial practice, with ongoing debates about its legitimacy. High-profile fraud cases continue to surface, but the demand for mediumship readings persists. Despite ongoing skepticism, the practice continues to offer comfort and closure to many. Additionally, thanks to modern brain mapping technology as well as continued scientific research, mediumship continues to be a subject of scientific inquiry. Researchers like Dr. Julie Beischel at the Winbridge Research Center have conducted rigorous studies to test the accuracy of mediums under controlled conditions. Their findings suggest that some mediums can report accurate information about deceased individuals without prior knowledge. This phenomenon is known as anomalous information reception, AIR. Studies using EEG and other brain imaging techniques have shown that mediums' brain activity during spirit communication differs from normal thinking or imagination. This suggests that mediumship involves unique mental states that warrant further investigation. Another research study conducted by Matthew Seraph, Michael A. Woodley of Meany, and Patrizio Tresoldi focuses on the phenomenon of mediumship. Their study, titled Anomalous Information Reception by Mediums, a meta-analysis of the scientific evidence, was published on September 1, 2021. It is a comprehensive meta-analysis of modern experimental evidence from 2001 to December 2019. This meta-analysis provides significant insights into the field of mediumship and anomalous information reception. It suggests that some mediums may indeed possess the ability to receive information about deceased individuals through currently unexplained means. Mediumship has a long and complex history. Despite its controversial nature and the mixed results from scientific investigations, a growing body of evidence suggests that some mediums may be able to receive accurate information about the deceased. This is being supported by meta-analyses, research, and studies employing rigorous methodologies, such as triple-blind protocols and brain mapping, showing that mediums can sometimes provide information that exceeds chance levels. Mediumship is still popular around the world, and people seek out mediums for comfort and guidance. Mediumship continues to evolve with new techniques, research, and technologies. Its rich history shows that the human desire to connect with something greater has always been strong. As science and spirituality continued to intersect, the mysteries of mediumship may one day be fully understood. Thanks for watching. Please click the subscribe button for more videos like this. Leave a comment with your thoughts.